Hello.
Hello, Mother Linda.
Yes, son Adam.
Do you think Bob's Burgers? Do you think Bob's Burgers should, since many episodes in later seasons of Bob's Burgers have moved beyond the classic plotline of like Bob and his family trying to save his business when it's on edge. Do you think? But and most episodes after season 5, they have less appearances from characters that Bob uses to deal with, like Jimmy Pesto or Mort, Hugo, Ron, Mr. Fischel. They appear a lot less in recent seasons, and their voice actors are free to do their own thing most of the time, to have bigger parts in other productions, other credits. Do you think the standard formula for modern Bob's Burgers episodes are to have one plot of Bob, Lynn, and Teddy at Bob's Burgers, at home at Bob's Burgers, and what the three Velcher kids, Tina, Jean, and Louise, are doing at their Wagstaff school? Do you think Bob's Burgers should have had a different title, like the Belcher family?
No, I'm happy with the family, with the title as it is, because it tells you more than what their last name is.
Okay, good. So, do you think does that mean you think Duncanville shouldn't be called the Harrises, even though it doesn't actually take place in Duncanville, and it's just one of the characters? That's just one of the main characters' names.
Yeah, but it focuses on Duncan, right?
Right.
It's like his world and how he sees it.
That's right.
I can see why they did that title too.
Okay. Well, I have some big news for you, Mom. So,
Yeah?
well, in the early seasons of Bob's Burgers, I think Jimmy Pesto, Bob's business rival from across the street, I think he's the closest thing that Bob's Burgers actually had to an antagonist, right?
Right, his rival, yeah.
But in later, we rarely actually. But I think it's kind of odd how, after the first few seasons, we rarely see his kids on screen at the same time as him. Jimmy Jr., Andy, and Ollie.
So what's the big news?
Well, okay, here it is. It seems that Bob's Burgers writers were already prepared for this because they've already done so many episodes in recent years without Jimmy Pesto, and Laura Silverman and Sarah Silverman, who play Andy and Ollie, have a much higher episode count than Jay Johnston.
Yeah.
Here's the really bad news, Mom.
What?
On January 6, 2021, which is the 10-year anniversary of Bob's Burgers and the big bad day of the Capitol insurrection,
Right.
Jay Johnson wasn't celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Bob's Burgers with the rest of the cast and crew of Bob's Burgers Central Park in the Great North. He was out. He got fired for partaking in the Capitol riot in the sedition. There's actually a picture of him with the camouflage mask that was caught there.
He was actually in the riot? Oh no! Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a little jarring for me that how Jimmy Pesto's voice actor turned into a rival to the rest of the Bob's Burgers cast and crew in real life.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Well, they're lucky that he wasn't like a major character at that point anyway.
Yeah.
But wow. Oh my, that's really disappointing.
I agree.
But I mean, I guess he deserved to get fired. So.
Yes,
wow.
he did. Yeah, it really makes in Chief's cab Bob, when Bob was driving a taxi cab, and when Tina asks Bob to shave his mustache so that Jimmy Pesto Sr. will allow Jimmy Pesto Jr. to come to Tina's birthday party. It actually turned out to be much harsher in hindsight when Bob said, "I don't negotiate with terrorists," implying that he saw Jimmy Pesto as a terrorist for wanting his mustache.
But he really, oh my gosh, he really sounds really domestic terrorist. Oh my gosh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, and that's why Jimmy Pesto never gets any lines in the Bob's Burgers movie when his kids all do, who are voiced by H. John Benjamin, Laura Silverman, Sarah Silverman, since Jimmy Jr. and Bob Belcher have the same voice actor.
Wow. So he's drawn, but he doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Like you see him, but wow.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I look forward to seeing that movie.
If it wasn't, if Jay Johnson wasn't fired for January 6th, Jimmy Pesto probably would have had a much bigger part in the film.
I guess so. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, the bad news is bad news, as we've gone before. Yeah, the bad news is Jimmy Pesto's voice actor G. Johnson got fired for partaking in the Capitol riot on the 10th anniversary of Bob's Burgers.
Wow.
But the good news is,
What a way to spend that. Oh.
Where's your mom?
What a way to spend the anniversary of the show you're in.
Yeah,
Gosh.
sad, nasty.
Yeah.
Oh,
he made his choice. Wow.
The ultimate betrayal.
Wow. Bad. Wow.
But yeah, but the good news is the Bob's Burgers cast and crew has forgiven Aziz Ansari for what he did back in 2017, and now they're allowing him to voice Darryl again after Darryl mysteriously disappeared for 3.5 years.
Wow.
He finally got to voice Darryl again in the season 12 finale of Bob's Burgers and the Bob's Burgers movie.
So he was rehabilitatable.
Yes.
Yeah, he's redeemable. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah,
Good.
and also in more news, I finally found out whom Bob's Burgers decided to have replace. The new black voice actors that Bob's Burgers decided to have replace. Pamela Adlon for Olsen Benner, Melissa Barton-Galsky for Miss Jacobson, and Katie Crown for Harley.
Yeah.
Okay, here they are. So Nicole Byer, who previously voiced a guest character in Go Tina on the Mountain, became the new voice for Olsen Benner in the Bob's Burgers movie between seasons 12 and 13.
Cool.
And Ashley Nicole Black, another woman with a Nicole name, she became the new voice for Harley in the season 12 episode Crystal Mess, and Ashley Nicole Black became the new voice for Miss Jacobson, starting with Crystal Mess from season 12, and early on in season 12, the one after the premiere, and then she became the new voice for Harley, starting with the Bob's Burgers movie. Those were their first appearances after season 11 when they were casted.
Cool.
Season 11 was because season 11 was the final season that Bob's Burgers produced before they had to get new actors of color in the middle of 2020, like Central Park finding a new Bonnie Tillerman.
Good.